Who are the Rechabites? From Jeremiah chapter 35, God started with us on that note that the Rechabites are the obedient generation. They are generation that obey without reservation. They are people that refuse to be controlled by the spirit of rebellion. Because one of the people ravaging our generation is the spirit of rebel. And that seed was sown into the spirit of Adam after the fall of Adam in the Garden of Eden. But this group of people called the Rechabites, in Jeremiah 35, they are people of total obedience. And we saw that because of their obedience, it attracts God to them. They are not part of the Levites, but because of their obedience, God said to Jeremiah, go to the house of the Rechabites. I want you to learn something from these people. They have kept the word of their fathers. The things that their fathers said to them years ago, they kept it. Go to that house and bring them to the temple. Present before them wine to drink. And when Jeremiah went and brought the children of the Rechabites, they present wine for them to drink. And they said, no, our father said to us, we should not taste wine. So they are men that obey their father in detriment to their pleasure. And God said to Jeremiah, go and tell my people they should come and learn how to obey me. Because they have done this, they will not lack a man that will stand before me. And we said that day that one of the ways that man can have a stand before God is not by activity, it's by obedience. How can a Rechabite? They are not from the tribe of the Levites, but because of their obedience, that singular act brought them to the point that God says, these people, even though they are not Levites, but I will bring them into priesthood. It means that one of the things that bring men into priesthood is not activity, it's obedience. So their obedience brought them into priesthood, so much that at every point in time, if you come to the temple, if you come to the inner cycle, the holiest of holy, there must be a man that is traced to the Rechabite, because their obedience attract God. I said a day before yesterday, before our uncle came yesterday and today, to build on this foundation that we laid on Thursday. And what I said a day before yesterday is that no man can impress a spirit. There is nothing that we can do to impress God, but we can do something that can attract him. And one of the things that can attract divinity to a man is obedience. So we saw that the Rechabites, they are not group of people that allow rebellion spirit to infiltrate them, because they could have said that our fathers, they have died. We are the Gen Z generation. We cannot live like our father. If you read that passage very well, even though their father said to them they should not build house, it means that the Rechabites, they deny themselves pleasure just to obey their fathers. And God said to Jeremiah, how much more will my people? They should come and learn how to obey me. Because these men have done this, they will not lack a man to stand before me. They won't lack a man to stand before me. And I said on Thursday that one of the hardest things, one of the hardest languages of the spirit is the language of obedience. If you think obedience is cheap, you have not obeyed God before. Because anytime that God speaks, his demand upon a man is more than him. God don't demand from a man things that is equal to his capacity. Anytime that God lays demand on a man, the demand of God is always more than the capacity that the Adamic man can carry. So one of the greatest things that attract God to a man is obedience. And I said that no man obey God celebrating. Men that obey God, they don't obey God rejoicing. There is no man that obey God throwing party and celebrating. Men that obey God, they obey God in tears. Men that obey God, they obey God in pains and in weeping. But this is the criteria that God used to elevate men into the realm of glory, power, and authority. Today, everybody claims the blessing of Abraham. You need to know the price he paid. He left the known place to the unknown place, because it takes men that become foolish to themselves to obey God. I said the day before yesterday that no intelligent man can obey God. As long as you are intelligent, you can't obey God to yourself. It takes foolish men to obey God's instruction, because the thing is that God's instruction don't make sense to Adamic man. Anytime that God speaks, it don't make sense to Adamic man, but in that instruction is your elevation. Is that instruction is your victory. Is that instruction is your link to the supernatural. So we started on Thursday by saying that the group of men that God is looking for in this end time that will walk in the path of revival, it's not multitude, but they are men that have come into submission and surrendering to the total counsel and the instruction of God. Because the truth of the matter is that the Adamic man hates instruction. One of the if you want to destroy a man, give him instruction. But I don't know what happened to the Rechabites. I don't know what happened to them, that what their grandfather said to them, they say it to their children, and their children kept it. And this thing is what has the ability to deny them of pleasure. Because in it, as long as they abide, they will not have pleasure. They can't have the excitement of wine. They can't have the excitement of building house to live inside. And God said, this is the pattern that I desire for my people Israel to obey me. But because they refuse, this one, they will not lack a man to stand before me. The difference between where we are now and where God wants to take us to is tied to our obedience. People of God, obedience is expensive. And I said on Thursday, an obedience that don't cost you will not profit you. The weightier your obedience, the deeper your glory. Oh my God. Because on the journey of obedience, there is glory. The weight of a man's obedience is what determines the glory that man will carry for a generation. And any man that obeys God, there is a scar. You can't obey God without a scar. There is a scar of the obedience that you must carry. Because as for Abraham, we saw that day that as for Abraham, he left his comfort zone to an unknown place. And when years passed, after the arrival of Isaac, God came back again and said, bring me Isaac for a sacrifice. And I said on Thursday, at that point Abraham knew, I cannot share this with my wife, because Sarah will let him know that until I die, you can't take Isaac. Already you brought me into this wilderness. We don't know where we have been going. We have been living inside bush. Now the promised child has come. I won't give Isaac until I die. Thank God, use me first. After you have sacrificed me, carry Isaac on my behalf. Then I have gone. Abraham know that this one, I can't disclose this to my wife. He journeyed for 3 days. Do you think that journey was a journey of excitement? Do you think Abraham was going on that journey? Our Lord is good. Can he sing our Lord is good on that journey? Do you think Abraham is singing our Lord is good? No. That man was moving. It wasn't a journey of pleasure. It was a journey of travel. Men that obey God, they obey God by traveling. But it was on that note, God looked at Abraham. Now that I know you love me. I said a day before yesterday that our love for God is measured by our obedience to God. If you say you love God, what are your obedience to him? So a man's love for God is directly proportional to his obedience to the counsel and to the instruction of God. Now I know, Abraham, you love me because you have done this. I will multiply your generation so much that they will be like the stars. They will be like the stars of heaven. And to let us know that the counsel, whatever comes from the mouth of God, is eternal. The promise that God had with Abraham still running till today. No matter how small the land of Israel is, there is no nation that can conquer them. Because a man paid a price of obedience. The Rechabite generation is a generation that God is looking for. This rebellious generation cannot handle the glory of God. I tell us the truth. One of the greatest things ravaging our generation is the spirit of rebel. Is a spirit of rebellion. There is no man that can enter into the glory of God as a rebellion man. Do you know the sin of Lucifer? The sin of Lucifer is the sin of rebellion. There is no glory to a generation that rebels against the instruction of God.